U.S. taxpayers are obliged to pay an annual income tax that is calculated based on their taxable income. The Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, provides the tax rates each year, which enables taxpayers to determine the amount of tax they need to pay according to the tax bracket they belong to. But do you know you can take advantage of tax deductions to decrease your tax bill? In this video, we'll help you understand what tax deductions are and how these can help you reduce your tax liability.
By the way, if you like this type of content, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button.
What is a tax deduction? A tax deduction lowers your taxable income, allowing you to reduce your tax liability. The tax you owe each year is based on your annual taxable income. If your taxable income decreases, your tax bill also decreases. As a taxpayer, you can choose between a standard or an itemized deduction, depending on which most reduces your taxable income. You cannot employ both at the same time. Standard deductions versus itemized deductions. Standard deductions are specific amounts of tax deductions set by the federal government. The amount depends on the filing status of the taxpayer. For instance, the annual standard tax deduction for a single individual in 2022 is $12,950, while a married couple filing jointly can claim $25,900. If you choose to itemize your deductions, you'll need to keep the receipts of your eligible expenses for the year. When filing your income tax return, these expenses are reported to the Schedule A form according to their respective categories. Most taxpayers opt for standard deductions as they require less work. You simply need to indicate your standard tax deduction on line 12A of Form 1040. However, choosing itemized deductions makes sense if the value of your eligible expenses is greater than that of a standard deduction. How tax deduction is calculated. Your income tax is calculated based on the tax rates provided by the IRS. Let's say you're a single filer with an annual income of $70,000 in 2022. The first $10,275 of your income is taxed at 10%, resulting in a $1,027.50 tax. The next $31,500 is within the 12% tax bracket, yielding $3,780. The remaining $28,225 is taxed at 22%, amounting to $6,209.50. When you add $1,027.50, $3,780, and $6,209.50, you get a total tax amount of $11,017. However, you can decrease your taxable income by applying tax deductions, hence reducing your income tax. For instance, a standard deduction allows you to subtract $12,950 from your taxable income. Using the preceding example, the $70,000 taxable income is now reduced to $57,050. Calculating your income tax using $57,050 as the taxable income, you will only owe $8,168 of tax instead of the previous $11,017, saving you a considerable amount of money. Tax deductions versus tax credits. Both tax deductions and tax credits help decrease your tax burden. However, these two have different mechanisms. A tax deduction lowers your taxable income. On the other hand, a tax credit directly reduces your tax liability. Using the prior example, having an annual income of $70,000 requires you to pay $11,017 in tax. By applying a standard tax deduction, you only need to pay $8,168. But if you qualify for a tax credit, the credit amount will be deducted directly from your income tax. For instance, if you have a tax credit of $5,000, you can use it to reduce your $11,017 tax liability to only $6,017. Most taxpayers prefer using tax credits rather than tax deductions. Some tax credits are even refundable. If your tax liability is reduced to zero or less, you may be eligible for a refund of the remaining amount. Generally, tax deductions are beneficial in reducing your tax burden. Understanding how tax deductions work can help you maximize its tax advantages. Whether standard or itemized, choose the type of tax deduction that saves you money the most.
We hope this animated video has helped improve your financial literacy. We do our best to provide actionable tips that are easy to digest and implement in real life. If you want to see more of these videos, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, comment what makes you feel inspired, motivated, and excited.
Thank you so much.
That's more than enough to help us grow and sustain our production expenses. See you in our next video.